Okay, so you want to own a food truck, get a vehicle, cook your food, park somewhere busy, and watch the cash roll in. No crazy expensive restaurant lease, no huge staff to manage, just you, your recipes, and the open road. That's the dream version people see all over social media. Long lines down the block, sold-out boards by 1 in the afternoon, and owners who look like they worked a quick 3-hour shift and called it a day. People look at a food truck as the ultimate shortcut, a low-risk entry into the restaurant world that doesn't require a $1 million build-out. But here's what nobody shows you on camera. That owner you're watching has been grinding since 6 in the morning. They were at a commercial kitchen 2 full hours before the truck even opened, prepping food they'll never get paid directly for. Tonight, they're going to spend hours scrubbing down a vehicle that the health department is going to inspect again next month. And at the end of a genuinely great month, after all taxes are paid, they might take home somewhere between $3,000 and $7,000. That's the real version. And if you're thinking about jumping into this business yourself, understanding why the reality looks so different from the social media fantasy is worth every second of your time. The very first thing people search online is how much a food truck actually costs, and there's a real answer to that. A used truck, something that's already fitted with a kitchen, passed inspection, and has a wrap, runs anywhere from $30,000 to $80,000. That sounds pretty manageable, less than a new car in some cases. But here's the trap. A used truck is cheap for a reason. The kitchen equipment inside is usually worn out, the generator is probably underpowered, and the exhaust hood might not meet current fire codes in the city where you plan to operate. You'll figure all of this out during your first health inspection, which you won't pass. And then you'll end up dropping anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 retrofitting a truck you bought just to save money. A brand new custom build is a completely different story. You're looking at $75,000 to $175,000. That gets you a properly sized generator, a commercial exhaust hood with a built-in fire suppression system, a plumbing setup that actually meets health codes, and refrigeration units that consistently hold temperature. You get warranties, plus financing options from banks offering 5 to 10-year loans at 4 to 12% interest. Because of this, most serious operators land somewhere in the middle. They buy a used truck with a solid engine and powertrain and then build out the kitchen from scratch. That path usually lands around $80,000 to $120,000 once everything is said and done, and everything includes way more than you think. Installing a commercial fire suppression system alone costs between $5,000 and $12,000. The 3-compartment sink, fresh water tank, gray water tank, and hot water heater add another $2,000 to $5,000. An exterior vinyl wrap, menu boards, and LED lighting cost another $2,500 to $5,000. Add in a point-of-sale system with hardware, card readers, receipt printers, and a cellular router, and you're dropping another $500 to $1,500. All in all, launching a properly equipped, fully code-compliant food truck in a major city like New York, Los Angeles, or Chicago costs between $100,000 and $150,000. And keep in mind, that's before you've bought a single ingredient or served a single paying customer. Before you ever cook a single meal for a paying customer, you're going to spend weeks dealing with multiple government agencies. Every single one charges fees, demands inspections, and requires annual renewals. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce actually tracked this, and in heavily regulated cities, first-year regulatory compliance costs average $28,276. That covers business registration, food handler certifications, fire department permits, health permits, and parking authorizations. But what that number doesn't capture is the massive time cost. The weeks you spend waiting on rescheduled inspections, revising your commissary agreement, and arguing with the health department over whether your gray water tank is big enough. In New York City, the system gets even crazier. The city caps the total number of full-year food truck permits allowed citywide. The official waiting list is decades long, not years. So what operators actually do is rent permits from people who've been on the list since the 90s and have zero intention of running a truck themselves. Those rented permits carry a massive monthly cost on top of everything else. Los Angeles has its own hurdles. The county health department enforces strict truck construction standards, equipment placement, and dimensional requirements. Operators are even required to log every single visit to their commissary kitchen to prove compliance. Miss a single log entry during an inspection, and you risk immediate suspension. And this paperwork never stops. Every permit expires, every certification needs renewing, and health inspectors can show up unannounced whenever they want. Even after year one, the average operator in a major U.S. city spends $600 to $1,500 every single month just staying legal and compliant. That brings us to a requirement that catches almost everyone off guard. In nearly every major American city, food trucks are legally forbidden from operating as standalone kitchens. You are required by law to have a commissary. A commissary is a licensed, inspected commercial kitchen that acts as your home base. You prep your food there every morning, store bulk inventory, dump your gray water, fill up fresh water, and sanitize your equipment at night. And of course, you pay rent. Commissary rent in major cities runs anywhere from $800 to $2,000 a month. That's a fixed cost, whether you have a record-breaking month or a dead one. If you thought a food truck was your escape from paying rent, the commissary cures you of that delusion real fast. Plus, commissaries operate on strict schedules. You don't just show up whenever you feel like it. You have to book your morning prep slots weeks in advance. If you're late, you lose your prep time, and if the kitchen is double booked, you sit around waiting while your lunch rush gets closer and closer. This brings us to a massive mistake that costs operators money every single day. The natural impulse is to build a big menu, thinking more variety equals more appeal. In reality, every single item you add creates a chain reaction of operational headaches. More items mean more ingredients to store, more prep time at the commissary, and more complex assembly during service. A menu with 12 items might look great to a customer, but it means your crew has 12 different recipes to execute under pressure in a tiny space. Orders take longer to assemble, inventory forecasting becomes a nightmare, and unsold food spoils, wiping out your margins. The most successful food trucks stick to 4 to 6 core items. That's not a limitation. It's a strategic business move that ensures lightning-fast service, tight inventory control, and maximum kitchen efficiency. The other menu decision that dictates your survival is ingredient balance. A premium beef brisket sandwich is an awesome product, but raw protein costs can easily eat up 35 to 45% of the menu price before you even factor in labor or packaging. Smart operators balance high-cost anchor items with high-margin sides like fries, rice, and drinks, where raw ingredient costs are only 8 to 18%. Those high-margin sides actively subsidize the star of your menu. People assume that once the truck is bought and permits are paid, the only ongoing expense is food. That couldn't be further from the truth. Your truck is a heavy commercial vehicle getting 8 to 12 miles per gallon. Plus, you're running an 8 to 12 kilowatt generator for 6 to 8 hours every shift. Combined vehicle and generator fuel costs run $400 to $1,200 a month, plus another $200 to $500 for propane. Insurance requires 3 separate coverages: commercial auto liability, general liability, and equipment insurance, running a combined $275 to $600 a month. Preventive maintenance adds $300 to $800 a month, and when a major component like a generator or transmission breaks, you're looking at a sudden $3,000 to $7,000 repair bill out of pocket. Factor in point-of-sale subscriptions, software, and cellular data, and your fixed monthly overhead to keep the truck operational sits between $3,500 and $6,500 every single month. If you're finding this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get crystal clear on what actually happens when a customer hands you $14 for a meal. First, the city takes its sales tax of about 8%, or $1.12. You didn't earn that, you just collected it. So you're left with $12.88. Next, subtract your raw food cost at 30%, which is $3.86. Now, you're at $9.02. Packaging, boxes, napkins, and utensils take another 70 cents, leaving you with $8.32. Card processing fees take roughly 47 cents, leaving $7.85. Then comes labor. Even if you cook yourself, your time has a cost. But if you hire help at $18 an hour, the fully burdened cost with payroll taxes is closer to $22 an hour, or about $2.20 per order. What's left is roughly $5.35 in contribution margin per ticket. If your monthly fixed overhead is $5,000, you have to sell 935 meals every single month just to break even before you take home a single dollar for yourself. In urban areas, 60 to 70% of your daily street revenue is made in a tight 90-minute window during lunch. During that rush, throughput is everything. If your average ticket takes 60 seconds to complete, you can serve 90 customers in 90 minutes, generating $1,260. If a slow cashier or complicated menu pushes that ticket time to 90 seconds, you only serve 60 customers, making $840. That 30-second delay just cost you $420 in a single shift. On top of that, you're completely at the mercy of the weather. A rainstorm drops foot traffic by 70 to 90%. Extreme summer heat over 95 degrees drops traffic by up to 60%, while turning the inside of your truck into a 110-degree oven, and winter cold slashes northern street revenue by 40 to 60%. Your revenue shrinks, but your fixed costs, loan payments, and insurance bills remain identical. Roy Choi famously launched Kogi BBQ in Los Angeles back in 2008 with a single truck and a Twitter account, sparking the modern food truck movement. But Choi's story was an exception built on a viral concept, perfect timing, and early social media advantages. For most operators who followed, the endless lines simply never materialized. And when operators try to scale by adding a second truck, management complexity doesn't just double, it multiplies. You need shift managers earning $15 to $22 an hour, split inventory tracking, and double the parking permits. That's why successful operators rarely expand by just buying more trucks. Instead, they use the truck as a proof of concept to launch brick-and-mortar locations, packaged retail goods, or high-margin corporate catering pipelines. Special events and festivals sound like easy money, with gross revenues reaching $5,000 to $20,000 in a single weekend. But organizers charge steep entry fees plus a 15 to 20% cut of your gross sales. And if rain washes out the event, you're stuck with massive non-refundable costs and spoiled inventory. Corporate catering is the exact opposite. With pre-agreed headcount, prepaid deposits, and zero weather risk, corporate catering delivers net profit margins between 20 and 35%, creating a stable financial baseline for your business. Let's look at the actual bottom line. In a great month, doing $35,000 in gross revenue after subtracting food costs, labor, overhead, and loan payments, you might take home around $6,600 in net profit. But in a brutal winter month where revenue drops to $18,000 and your generator breaks down, you can easily end up $800 in the red. Industry data shows the average U.S. food truck grosses around $346,000 annually, but after applying typical 6 to 9% profit margins, the actual net profit left over is only $20,000 to $31,000 a year. Operators taking home $50,000 to $85,000 are doing it by grinding 60-plus hours a week, minimizing debt, and running a heavy catering schedule. A food truck isn't a passive investment or a quick shortcut. It's a physically demanding, low-margin business operating in a tight daily window against unpredictable weather. The operators who understand those mechanics before launching are the ones who survive and build something that lasts. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest business breakdowns. Thanks for watching.